FKA Twigs, Caprisongs, Mixtape review. Let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about the latest from FKA Twigs, modern master of art pop and alternative R&B and so much more. You know who she is by now. And I've been kind of enamored but also confused and mystified often by her sound ever since the release of her first EPs, EP1 and EP2. These EPs together kind of put together FKA Twigs' very unique sound, which was put together with ethereal beats, whisper quiet vocals, chilling rhythms. I mean, I was so excited to hear her full-length debut, and she did not disappoint. LP1 is still one of the most groundbreaking albums, especially a debut album of the last 10 years. I mean, from Twigs' performance to the instrumentals here to the production, which runs the gamut from Arca to freaking Clam's Casino, this album has a little bit for everyone. It is all gravy, and with her Melissa EP that followed, I think that she kind of cemented herself as one of the most ahead of the curve artists in alternative pop at the moment. And 2019 rolls around. She puts out Magdalene, and I named it my album of the year. It's still an album that to this day I can't place my finger on. I have a lot to say about it, but I still can't describe it. Twigs is so far ahead of the game in alternative R&B and art pop right now. Not only is she obviously influenced by the likes of Kate Bush and Bjork, but she also has her head in the R&B world as well. She's been in that kind of mindset for years. Now, leading up to this new mixtape, Caprisongs, that seemed to be more the case than ever, with the singles that dropped leading up to this seemingly being her most pop-friendly singles to date, and that kind of worried me, but I still think that there is a lot of great material here. This tape starts off with Ride the Dragon, and I think it's one of the best tracks here. From the sound play, to the production, to Twigs' performance, this is a perfect medium from where we've been with Twigs in the past and where we're going with her in the future. It's also kind of a really nice introduction to just how playful this album is and how quirky and bubbly it is at times. Especially when you think about just how reserved and hushed and quiet and, you know, very fragile sounding some of her performances were on her debut album and her first couple of EPs. And yeah, it's great. I love how quirky and sweet this track gets. This is an awesome intro. It's also really flirty at times. I can say a lot of the same things about Meta Angel. Once again, I love how free-spirited a lot of this tape comes off and just how out of her shell Twigs is coming off. This is one of the more, I don't know, blissful and delicate songs on the album, but it comes off just so sweet on the ears. It's rather beautiful also. Not only that, but it kind of sounds from this that she's ready to take on hyperpop. And Tears in the Club featuring The Weeknd, this is a track that I didn't know that I wanted as much as I did. It is a great collaboration. It's a very steamy, glistening track about love within a club, but it's also just odd and abstract enough to really be still ahead of the curve. It is a great single, and at times like this, FKA Twigs putting out pop music kind of sounds right. Oh My Love might be the best deep cut here. I mean, this is easily one of the most emotionally potent tracks here. It is so smooth, it is so tender, so sweet. The production is kind of left field, but also on the more inviting side of things, and I love how spunky her performance gets towards the end. I also love the running themes of, you know, positivity, self-love flowing throughout this album. Lightbeamers has a lot of the same themes, but here we see like these incredible vocal performances. I still think that her vocals are constantly getting better and better as she gets more and more out of her shell. And the wonky, oddball beat and production just kind of makes me feel like home. Now, let's pause here for a few minutes because while I do think a good majority of this album is good, I do also think that FKA Twigs going for a more pop-oriented sound has led to some growing pains, or at least some more growing pains than we're used to hearing from her. Take, for example, Honda featuring Pa Salieu. I don't know, I get what she was going for here. I actually really love the bulky beat, but from a songwriting stance, this is okay. I actually think her rap verse is pretty awesome, but when we get to some of these collaborators, they're very hit and miss on this album, and this is not one of the better ones. I just feel like they don't completely mesh here. Pamplemousse, on the other hand, is my nightmare. Yes, it's quirky and bubbly and sort of fun, but I, for one, am not for this level of quirky and bubbliness in FKA Twigs. There is so much pop-oriented material on this album that is really, really quality. This, however, is just obnoxious. And a lot of these interludes, like the Caprisongs interlude, the Track Girl interlude, and the Christie interlude as well, they're fine. They're very deep at the end of the days, but like, I don't know, they're just also kind of waste of space and just take me out of this very intoxicating album. Poppy Bones isn't that much better. Like, I'm all for Twigs and any artist for that matter really pushing themselves into different genres, trying something new. I applaud that. This is genuinely one of the most annoying tracks here. This sounds like the awkward intersection of where we've been with Twigs on her first couple of releases and where we're at now. Like, she hasn't completely got this sound under wraps yet. I don't know, it's just very awkward. And Which Way is really annoying too, and I don't know, one of the more full of themselves tracks here. It's just not for me. It's very airy and whimsical, which I don't hate, but it ends up just sounding half-baked at the end of the day. But there is so much potential here. You hear tracks like Jealousy featuring Rayma. This track is unbelievable. This is a fantastic alt-pop anthem. I love the sunny rhythms on this track. Some of the more dynamic vocals that we get from Twigs as well. And honestly, Rayma's collaboration here is right on the money. This is one of the best guest spots on the entire album, and most importantly, this sounds like an FKA Twigs track that's been warped for the clubs, and that's where she should be. Careless featuring Daniel Caesar is really great as well. I mean, yeah, I didn't expect most of this album's sounds, but the last thing I expected to hear right now was a genuine slow jam, the one that comes off as tasteful as this. It is lighthearted and sweet, and Daniel Caesar's performance on this track is fantastic. I love it. Minds of Men is pretty far out too. I love her haunting performance. I love the off-kilter beat. Once again, this sounds like a classic Twigs track, but warped. I mean, it's really got some very sweet performances, but it is so layered and far out. Darjeeling featuring Georgia Smith and Unknown T, on the other hand, is a freaking alt-pop banger that you can sink your teeth into. It's punchy, it's flirty, it's got a ton of quirk to it as well. Once again, this right here is where this sound should be. And then we get Thank You Song as a finale, and good lord, Twigs practically has me in tears on this track. It is absolutely breathtaking. I mean, this sounds like could have been left over on Magdalene. Like, this sounds like Cellophane Part 2 at points. It is absolutely flooring. There's so much potential on this album. I just wish I wasn't having consistency issues, pacing issues as well. This is a weird one from FKA Twigs. It's a mixtape, and it plays like one, and it's certainly a huge step in a new direction, and for the most part, she sticks the landing. I mean, so much of this album just comes off as really great art pop for the club, and honestly, it shouldn't have worked as well as it did for most of this album. Most of my issues here come from the pacing and the consistency. There are some experiments that go horribly wrong here, and some collaborators that should have stayed at home as well. But still, like, it's FKA Twigs, and for a pop album from her, this isn't that bad. I'm feeling a light 7 on this mixtape, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.